What has led you to business model experiments, and how are these helping us achieve sustainability?
Yeah, so my research has been focusing on sustainability from the start, but what I noticed is that there are many good ideas, but those ideas don't really get put into action. So there's really this idea-action gap. And experimentation is one of those topics that has been explored in natural sciences, transitions research, but also in business, but more mainstream business research. So I really saw an opportunity to investigate experimentation in the circular economy and sustainability, because it could really be a driver for change and also for action. So my research has been a bit more around tools and action research, and I think experimentation could be a very new and exciting topic in this field.
So you've been involved in a business called Homey. Can you tell us what that's about a bit and what you do there and how this originated?
So Homey actually started as a very small scale sort of experiment really, or a demonstration. So I was at the design faculty at TU Delft and I was challenged to create a demonstrator of my work. And I've been doing a lot of conceptual work on what are sustainable business models, what types exist. And I was also getting a bit fed up with myself and my conceptual work. So I thought this is the chance to actually start proving that a business model for sustainability could work in practice. And of course, setting up a business is not maybe the most logical route, but we did start with some demonstrations with 2 washing machines, a pay-per-use washing machine, so inspired also by the work by Arnold Tucker on product service systems. And we just wanted to figure out, can we actually make a pay-per-use washing machine, and what effect does it have on consumer behavior? So we started with some funding, small funding from TU Delft, and we actually found it was promising. We could see that people wash less and at lower temperatures with a pay-per-use business model. And this we actually used to actually get a bigger grant from the Dutch government. And that was one of the first business model related projects that they funded for startup-wise rather than a technology-oriented one. So it was quite new at that time. And it really, and now we're actually growing. We have funding from a private investor, also from a bank, from ABN AMRO. And we're really starting to scale up, but this is now the moment of truth to see, like, can such a business model really scale up? But at least the environmental evidence, seeing that it reduces environmental impact, is really there.
Okay, and what all products are you guys just focusing on? Washing machines or consumer durables, or has it expanded yet?
Yeah, so we're called Homey, and we're not called something with wash in it, because the idea was to create a platform for appliances in the home, because when you buy a product, then the main impact comes from the way in which you use the product, and also whether it's going to be reused, recycled, etc. And with a service-oriented model, so again, the work by Arnold Tucker, but also later by others, says that that could be a sustainable or circular model. We get a lot of requests for other products, like dishwashers, but also dryers. So the question is, do we actually want to provide customers with a tumble dryer? Because from an environmental perspective, you might as well hang dry. So having a startup actually shows you that you have to make decisions all the time and thinking, is it really sustainable? Is it better than what is there currently? But to have a short answer to your question, yes, we focus on all appliances and trying to think about new pay-per-use concepts and prove that business model in practice and reduce environmental impact.
So you just told us a bit about experimentation in business models and really getting startups involved in circular economy projects. But how in future research, how do we see empirical studies advancing the knowledge even further for these complex desired future states we want to see the whole economy engaged in?
Yeah, so I think so we did a special issue in Journal of Industrial Ecology in 2017 on the circular economy. And there was this wonderful paper by Blomsma and Brennan on conceptualizing circular economy and how it sort of evolved as a concept. And they rightly pointed out that we're now in the operationalization phase, like how should we actually do it, and actually validating whether a circular economy is a good concept from a sustainability perspective. So I think within that, empirical research is needed, so not only modeling and hoping that we find the right data, but really getting the data from the companies, from the new business models, estimating and trying to identify the actual environmental impact. Does it actually reduce the impact? For instance, in a sharing model, does it actually take cars off the road or maybe increase the number of cars because people might take public transport less? So there's a lot of difficult questions we need to ask ourselves, but I think they are needed. I think there's such an excitement about circular economy as a sustainability-oriented topic topic that we as academics, rather than saying like it might not happen, it might not be a good paradigm for the future, we need to try and support it and provide evidence and also mechanisms to make it work in the best possible way and reduce environmental impact associated with it as much as possible.
When discussing the environmental impacts of the products and the business models themselves, where do you drop the system boundaries to analyze the activities in society, and where does this lead us in the research and in the industry?
So the interesting thing about a business model in general is that it already expands the boundaries beyond the firm. Like in normal business model literature, it's already about how you work with partners, how you connect with customers. So in a sustainable business model, you also bring in the environment and society as new stakeholders, like how can you provide value to them. So I think in that discussion, you actually sort of expand your responsibility as a business. That might be difficult because what you develop might actually be copied easily by others as well. And also you create value that you as a company might not be able to capture immediately. So that's, again, a challenging bit, but I think it's definitely possible. You see net positive businesses, for instance, emerging, things like that. But I think one of the big topics that we could focus on still is sufficiency, like how to slow consumption as part of a business model. And that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but with Homey we actually also try to do that. Like we try to encourage people to wash less and at lower temperatures, but our business model and our profits depend on how much people wash and at which temperatures. So I think we need to start exploring some of those slower consumption models and not only focus on the production side, but also how to stimulate consumption, and that we might expect different types of behaviors from the customer as well, but the business model could support that positive behavior.
With this efficiency model, you mentioned that the profitability may be in question when suggesting different activities when engaging in a business model. Is this an issue that you see in the research that comes up that people have a tough time dealing with, or businesses when they're considering moving to this model? Or how could they rationalize making a step towards it?
The term sufficiency or slow consumption, I think that's a term maybe that sits with academics, but less so with business people, because that might not sound like the right thing to do. But in a paper that I've been writing, or book chapter actually, we talk about increasing value while reducing impact. So it's focusing on increasing the value. So that I think works better as a term. So if you look into the types of business models that might work for sufficiency, one of them is focused on premium pricing, or asking a higher price for a longer lasting product. The other one is obviously services. So when you charge for service contracts, you can get money out of the same product for some time, like Paper Lux, Philips, they have LED light bulbs, and they are more expensive, but you sell a product once and it lasts super long. But with a service contract, of course, you can get revenue from that same product over time. So we have premium service models, but also, for instance, second life, third life. There's, for instance, clothing online sales boutiques that get your second-hand clothing and repurpose it and sell it on. So that's also becoming more and more mainstream. And the final one, I think that's an underexplored one, that's more frugal innovation. So, for instance, in the developing countries, emerging countries, we see emerging technologies developing, but why don't we do more simple innovations also here? Like, why does it have to be more and more complex? Why can't we develop something that is more simple? Like one example is the Meticool fridge, for instance. So it's made out of clay. It's something that technology or something that has been around for a while. You throw in cold water as a refrigerant, and you can even drink the water, and it keeps the fridge cool for a long time. So why do we have such complex products here in the West, and why don't we do more frugal innovation? So I think that will be like a newly explored area here as well.
So what you're saying is it's complicated as necessary and as simple as possible.
Yes.
From your experience researching in circular economy and sustainable business models, What would you say is the best solution to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, I don't think there's one solution to keep the momentum going. I think there's excitement on all levels. We see policy changing in various countries around the world, also in Europe, circular economy package, so that's very exciting. At the same time, we see businesses openly making commitments towards a circular economy, like big companies like Philips and Unilever and all the big ones saying we need to go towards a circular economy. We have banks saying that they want to invest in circular initiatives, and at the same time we also have consumers who expect a response to urgent pressures around climate change. So I think there is this excitement, but it feels like almost like it's one big experiment, and we need to all work together and all maybe need to give up something, also do a bit more effort, for instance, flying less or recycling more as a simple solution. At the same time, businesses also need to think, like, do we really need to sell this product? Is this really necessary? Can we do it in a more low carbon way? And how can we reduce the resources that we use as well? And then also policy, interesting developments around planned obsolescence and how to avoid that, and how can you punish companies who plan obsolescence. So all in all, very exciting initiatives happening, but I think what we need to do is also collaborate and see whether industry and governments can set up experiments together. It's what is being said in transitions literature. It needs to be put into practice as well. And at the same time, consumers might expect better business models that serve them better, but they might also have to think critically about what can I do to contribute to this discussion.
Well, thanks a lot for your insights, Nancy. I really appreciate it, and I know everyone else will at the conference tomorrow when they hear your keynote. Thanks a lot.